Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of India's constitutional amendments, from the 95th to the latest 106th Amendment Act. Think of the Indian Constitution as a living document, constantly evolving to address the needs of its people. These amendments tell a story of India's journey, its struggles, triumphs, and push for a more inclusive society. Let's get started. Our first stop takes us back to 2010 to the 95th Amendment. This amendment extended reservations for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in education, government jobs, and parliament.
It also extended the nomination of Anglo-Indian members in parliament and state assemblies for another decade, until 2020.
This was a recognition that historical injustices cast long shadows, requiring continuous effort to create a level playing field. Some argued that extending reservations might breed entitlement or reverse discrimination. Others saw it as essential for uplifting marginalized communities. This debate reflects the larger conversation around social justice and equality in Indian democracy. Let's fast forward to 2011 to the 96th Amendment. This amendment was all about a single word, Odia.
Prior to this amendment, the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution listed the language spoken in Odisha as Oriya. The people of Odisha argued that Odia was a more accurate representation of their language.
The 96th Amendment recognized this, officially changing Oriya to Odia in the Constitution. This change carried immense symbolic weight, a victory for cultural preservation and identity. The 97th Amendment of 2012 aimed to empower cooperative societies.
It added all cooperative societies to Article 19(1)(c), guaranteeing the right to form these societies. It also introduced Article 43(b), promoting cooperative societies, and inserted a new Part 99(b) dedicated to them.
However, in 2021, the Supreme Court struck down part of this amendment. The amendment hadn't been ratified by enough state legislatures, highlighting the balance of power between the central government and the states. This underscores the complexities of India's federal system. Chapter 4, the 98th Amendment, Regional Development in Focus.
The 98th Amendment of 2013 focused on the Hyderabad-Karnataka region.
This region had often lagged behind in development.
The amendment inserted Article 371J, empowering the Governor of Karnataka to promote the development of this region.
It was targeted development, focusing resources on a specific area to ensure it catches up with the rest of the state.
This amendment reflects the government's commitment to addressing regional disparities, ensuring that progress reaches every corner of the nation.
Chapter 5, the 99th Amendment, a short-lived attempt at judicial reform.
The 99th Amendment, enacted in 2015, attempted a major overhaul of how judges are appointed in India.
Before this amendment, the power to appoint judges rested primarily with the judiciary itself, known as the collegium system.
The 99th Amendment sought to create a National Judicial Appointments Commission, NJAC. This commission would have included representation from both the judiciary and the executive branches.
The goal was to make the appointment process more transparent and accountable. However, the judiciary saw it as an infringement on their independence, and the Supreme Court struck down the amendment. This decision reaffirmed the judiciary's independence, though calls for reform continue. Chapter 6, the 100th Amendment, reshaping borders and granting citizenship.
The 100th Amendment, passed in 2015, addressed the complex border issue between India and Bangladesh.
It ratified the Land Boundary Agreement, LBA, involving the exchange of enclaves.
This meant redrawing the map and had a profound impact on the lives of thousands living in these enclaves.
The amendment also granted Indian citizenship to those who chose to stay in India after the exchange, ensuring their rights and protection. This was a historic step towards resolving a long-standing border issue. Chapter 7, the GST Revolution.
The 101st Amendment of 2017 introduced the Goods and Services Tax, GST.
GST replaced a multitude of indirect taxes with a single unified tax system.
Before GST, business owners had to navigate a maze of different taxes.
It was complex and often led to higher prices for consumers.
The GST aimed to simplify this, creating a single tax system across the country.
Despite challenges, the 101st Amendment represents a landmark moment in India's economic journey. Chapter 8, Empowering the Marginalized.
The 102nd Amendment, enacted in 2018, elevated the National Commission for Backward Classes, NCBC, to constitutional status.
This gave the NCBC greater autonomy and power.
The NCBC could now investigate and recommend policies related to the welfare of backward classes.
This amendment underscores the importance of robust institutions in protecting the rights of marginalized communities, ensuring their voices are heard. Chapter 9, Economic Reservation, and the debate rages on.
The 103rd Amendment, passed in 2019, introduced reservation for economically weaker sections, EWS, from the general category.
It allowed for a 10% reservation in government jobs and educational institutions for economically disadvantaged individuals.
Supporters saw it as a step to address economic inequality.
Critics viewed it as a way to appease the upper castes and potentially dilute existing reservations. The 103rd Amendment remains a point of contention, reflecting the complex interplay of caste, class, and opportunity. The 104th Amendment of 2020 was a tale of continuation and closure.
It extended reservations for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in the Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies for another 10 years.
This ensured continued political representation for these communities.
However, it discontinued the provision for nominating Anglo-Indian members to the Lok Sabha and state assemblies.
The decision was based on the argument that the Anglo-Indian community had achieved significant integration, reflecting the evolving needs of representation. The 105th Amendment of 2021 addressed the identification of other backward classes, OBCs.
A Supreme Court judgment had ruled that only the central government could identify OBCs.
The 105th Amendment reversed this, restoring the power to identify OBCs to state governments.
This amendment was seen as a victory for federalism, reaffirming the rights of states, ensuring that states can make decisions on matters impacting their populations.
The 106th Amendment, passed in 2023, tackled the underrepresentation of women in politics.
It reserved 1/3 of the seats in the Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies, and the Delhi Legislative Assembly for women.
This reservation is set to be in effect for 15 years, aiming to create a more inclusive political landscape.
The amendment has been hailed as a historic step towards gender equality in India, ensuring meaningful participation and empowerment for women in politics.
That's a wrap on the constitutional amendments from the 95th to the 106th CAA. From extending reservations to redrawing borders, these amendments offer a glimpse into the evolution of India as a nation. Each amendment reflects the dynamism of Indian democracy and the ongoing quest for a more just and equitable society. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. See you next time.